Don't judge a book by its cover. That one is obvious enough, right? But what happens when I say don't judge a TV show based on its graphics? Or, even stranger, don't judge the art solely on what you see. Things become a little bit more complicated, don't you think? I promise that in today's episode, everything we mean by this will become clear. And to do so, I've invited my good friend and fellow artist MK Gibson back into the show. Without further ado, welcome back to another Butcher Shop. Now you can say what you want, but I kept the intro really short this time.
I'm applauding. That was short. That was perfect. I mean, bloody hell. It was like, it's the right amount.
Thank
Well
you.
done. For like only 92 episodes later, and you finally got a format that works.
Hey, I do my best, okay?
Hey, how are you doing today, dude?
I'm alright, man. It's been a weird weekend and a weird day, and it's raining, and I'm doing a million things at the time, so don't ask for any focus because I have none.
Oh, I feel you. I've been, before we talked to you, before you messaged me saying we're going to record, I'm sitting there trying to fix some small image issues with like paperback proofs from Amazon. Like 2 of them got bounced back because of, oh, this is too close to the bleed line. Like, well, it's on purpose, but okay, I'll fix it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to, like, work around their AI thing, checking my work. So that's always fun. So.
Oh, that's annoying. Oh, I've been wrestling with the whole bleed thing for a while when I was working on the Singularian books, and at the end I was like, okay, well then fuck the bleed. I'll just do it manually.
well, that's the thing. It worked out. I did it on purpose because one of them, for the 6th book in that one series I created, like I'm using a chalkboard as the background, like a blue chalkboard frame, and I created a wooden frame around it. But I didn't want the frame to be so large around it that it falls off the book. I just want to see a little bit of the chalkboard, like as that's an actual frame on the top of the book, on the cover. But if I expand it to the point of like the entire image, it will completely fall off. So I have to basically duplicate it itself, so that way when it gets cut, it looks fine. I have to basically put it there to trick the machine, just letting to allow it, and it's just frustrating. Like
I like how you said trick the machine. I mean, it feels like that's pretty much all we're trying to do as artists these days. Like trick the machine into thinking.
Well, it is, but I mean that's the buttonology. Like that's Photoshop. Like the machine knows to do this. Like I know what I want to do, but I got to create these weird layer effects so the machine understands what it is I want to get done. And it's we're always tricking the machine.
That's true. That's true. So, okay, to go back to like the topic of the intro, because I did make a promise that, whatever I said was going to be clear. I mean, we're not exactly...
Oh, we're going to get into it. This is just the beginning of the show. We're just kind of like, hey, this is the catch up. But yeah, let's jump into the topic.
I know, but exactly, like if people are aching to understand what I said in those first 20 seconds... No, I know.
There's 7 people. They're not, and 3 of them are bots, so I don't care. They're not aching. Like, they I think they like the banter.
It's
so.
a dranther. I completely made up that word, obviously, but somebody asked, like, what is it? Is it like a cat? Is it a panther? I was like, it's all of them.
Oh, I was saying banter between us, but if you're saying that's the creature,
oh, sorry,
what'd
no.
you call it?
See, I have no focus. That much is clear now.
No, so what'd you call it?
The dranther. It's a dranther.
All right.
Like dragon, panther, whatever, man.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Well, that's because there's a that one book series I like. Everybody Loves Large Chests by Neven Iliev. He's got these things called janthers, basically jaguar panthers. So
I like that. Yeah. Somebody also said like it really looks like it comes from the game Kena. I don't know if you know that game.
I've heard of the game. I just haven't played.
Where they have like all these animals that have different crystals in them, and like everything is like based on crystals. It's like the source of life.
Oh, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it was very cool, and I didn't even realize that when I was making these things, because this is basically the continuation of the other like crystal dragon that I did a couple of weeks ago, where
yeah, I remember
spring
exactly
and
what I was
Magnolia.
thinking of.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And I figured, well, the crystals is a cool thing to sort of continue on over 4 different pieces if I make a spring, summer, autumn, and winter piece. So in my mind, it was just like this crystal thing. And then somebody said, well, it looks like Kena. I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Because I really like the style of that game.
It's like when someone compliments one of my books, like, it reminds me of the old Shadow, like my Technomancer books. Like, oh, it's like Shadowrun. I'm like, cool. If you like, I just nod my head. I know of Shadowrun. I never played the game. I never read the books. But it's when I just nod my head like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
if you like that, you'll
good
love this. I
compliment.
don't know.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Exactly, I'll take it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, how did we get yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? We were on the phone and we had a conversation. Like, okay, so what do we want to talk about? Because
Also, by the way, phone Discord. I'm in the States. She's in the Netherlands. We talk on Discord. Just so people know, like we're on the
yes,
phone.
sorry, same. I am a millennial. I still call everything on the phone. But anyway, we were calling, we were talking, chatting, whatever, conversing about what did we want to talk about in the podcast, and we kind of came to the conclusion that for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about some pretty serious subjects. It was pretty heavy, and although I found it very interesting, we had some eye-openers for some people, which was really nice. But I figured that today I just wanted to talk about something fun, and then I don't even remember how the conversation took that turn, but suddenly we were talking about the good old Sci-Fi Channel and some different programs we had on there, and we were like, this could actually be a fun thing to explore in the podcast, because way back when, I mean, this is like 20 years ago when Sci-Fi Channel was in its prime, there were shows out there that some people just skipped because it was Sci-Fi Channel, so it looked cheap and it looked awful, and it wasn't on par with everything else, like the bigger...
Literally judging the book by its cover.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and I don't know, I just thought that was a funny thing, because yes, we do judge books by their covers, even though we tell everyone not to. But in the same way, we also apparently judge TV shows based on how they look.
We judge everything by how it looks. I mean, it's so. Let me pull that Band-Aid off real fast. I'm the one who I did not. Sandy loves old classic like Sci-Fi Channel, and I'm the one that didn't, because my time in the military, like when Sci-Fi Channel was really ripping off, I was like in basic training, so 20 going through my first couple duty stations. I really didn't have much TV. I was always doing something because you're young and busy, and they keep you active. So when you actually start getting a life again, like I tried to return to my beloved sci-fi stuff that I used to enjoy, or science fiction as in general. The Sci-Fi Channel always looked kind of cheap to me, and I know that it was harsh of me, that was mean of me, so I didn't really watch a lot of those shows. I didn't watch Farscape. I didn't watch even some of the other channels. I didn't watch Babylon 5. I damn sure didn't watch Firefly, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, look at it!" And I'm like, "Okay, I've tried to watch it. It just never pulled me in. Sorry." Because I was way after the fact on a lot of these things. I wasn't part of the time. It wasn't part of the zeitgeist at the moment. So when you try to go back and revisit some of these things, it's like trying to show my son, who's 14 now, some of the cartoons I grew up with, like trying to show him like Transformers Generation 1. That animation looks so bad compared to now. Like in my mind, it's crystal clear HD 4K, and it is not. It is anything but. Same thing with the old G.I. Joes and He-Man and things like. So trying to like look at something antiquated, you can appreciate it for what it is, maybe, but at that time, I was really judging a book by its cover. I heard they have amazing stories. I never found out because I never watched them.
And that's the interesting part, because I was a little bit, less selective, I guess. For me, Sci-Fi Channel was, I think, the first time that I felt there was a channel that understood what I enjoyed and what I wanted to see on television. So Sci-Fi was like this instant embrace for me, like, oh, I'm gonna sit here and binge Sci-Fi Channel for like the whole weekend, because back then I was still in school. There was nothing else I needed to do with my life. Laundry was being done, my lunch was being made. It was fantastic. I miss those days. But yeah, I think when you get past the graphics, and I think that's something that clicked for me very easily. It's like when you get past the way it looks, the stories they told in those shows were so amazing and so timeless. And this is where I disagree about, for example, Firefly. Like I'm not this fanatic for Firefly. I really like that show a lot, but I'm not going all gaga over it. But my husband and I were watching the series, so not the movie, but the series over the last couple of weeks, and I realized that those stories are still so relevant and so well written to this day, because I don't know, like when I grew up, and again, like I'm a millennial, so you can all guess sort of my age, but when I grew up, there were all these kinds of TV shows and cartoons and all these things that had this sort of morale, where it was all revolving around. Everything was fun, shits and giggles, and it was exciting, and they had thrillers, but at the end of the story, there was always this, well, remember kids, if you do this, then there will be consequences. And even to this day, when you look at Firefly, for example, and there are other examples, I want to talk about Sanctuary and like whatever after this. But the way they told their stories, you know, and include that morale without making it feel pushy or without making it feel like there was an agenda, I feel at this point that's like, I don't know, I'm gonna say a lost skill or something that we don't often get on TV anymore. And that's why I so easily manage to get past, well, it looks crappy, but you know, at least it's really well written.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I didn't dislike Firefly for like, you know, right. Here's the thing. I didn't even get through all the episodes. I watched an episode or two with some friends who were like gushing because they wanted me to love it. And it's one of those, I was, when you're late to the party and everybody's trying to tell you how great something is, it is really, I mean, I speaking only for myself, when someone hypes something, I believe them, but my level of hype in my head compared to what they're hyping off nostalgia. It meant something to me at the time, and they're trying to convince me.
Well, I mean, I think this is how I broke Frankenstein for you. It's like I hyped it all the way up because it was so beautiful and amazing, and then you watch it, you were like, eh.
Yeah, exactly. and I was like, that's another perfect example. That is a beautiful piece of nothing in my mind. I know you love it. It is a beautiful piece of nothing because it is like the most watered down milquetoast story of Frankenstein that ever was, and it takes out all the nuance, all the complications. I love Del Toro, but that particular movie it was beautiful. And it's unfortunately, it's like dating a really hot, attractive person who has nothing to say. And that's what it felt like to me. Like it just took everything that could have had teeth and just filed it down and said, "Isn't this pretty?" And that's why I walked. I was like, and so like I can't get behind that.
I see what you mean with that. Like, yes, the movie is, or how did Del Toro call it? Like eye protein. It's not eye candy, it's eye protein. I mean, it looks amazing. It does. And I think the way it looks carries most of the movie. I personally really, vibed with the story of, you know, being this lost, forgotten creature that everybody sort of denies, and then he just wants to be, and everybody sort of hates him for just the fact that he's there. I mean, this is just what Frankenstein is, you know. He just wants to live, and I don't know, I really like those kind of stories, so I'm a sucker for that, and I'm well aware.
Well, I mean, I get those too, but it's like unfortunately they made him flawless. You know, he was perfect. He was too kind. He was too this. He's like, you know, go back to the story, the original novel. Like, you know, Frankenstein, like he killed, you know, Victor's like fiance. You know, like he was his father's creation, and this one he's too sweet, he's too kind, he's too nice, and
he does hurt. The opening of the movie is him killing like 6 people, and we're all like, well, that's fine because he's so yeah.
But that's my point. By the end of the movie, he's still posited as like this kind thing. Like no, he's like it's. There are so many things the movie tries to do, but it is spectacle over substance on certain things. Not all of them, not through and through, but that's my problem. It's like when something is hyped to these levels of like, that's where the art and the story are incongruous to me. You know, take for another perfect example is like, I know this is sacrilege for a lot of people, the movie Tron, or even the Tron series. Amazing visuals, really dumb stories. Like the first Tron was kind of cool. You get stuck inside of a video game, and that's a classic isekai story. But then, like, you realize the movie's called Tron, but it's not about Tron. It's about Flynn. We're following this Flynn guy, and so it's like, why is it called Tron? Because they created this Tron concept, and they couldn't get rid of it, so they just called it that. And it's kind of a derpy story, but it's got emotion to it. But the sequels just get worse and worse. But the visuals are amazing. Like these are amazing looking movies that are just god awful. As opposed to like, but when I was a kid, like I had, you know, the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings books as a kid, but like the covers were just so bad. Like these are the covers were so like some little weird fat guy in a wig, like they kind of painted over it and like hey, it's Frodo, you know, like these are bad covers, and you know, but the interiors is so good. There's so many times you have this book that's like, you would never pick this book up, but you accidentally do. You like realize it's kind of cool. You know, how many, especially my era growing up, like in like the 80s and the 90s, every fantasy book is a generic sword sitting there doing a sword thing that's glowing, and it's stupid. But there might be a good story inside of it, but you just can't get past this dumbass cover. So.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what I find very interesting. I mean, we are like far from the first or last person to talk about, you know, the influences covers on books. You know, everybody and a mom has had a podcast on that subject at this point. But for me, it's not about how that actually works or how that is actually the fact that it happens. It's more I guess it's sort of the psychology behind it. Like what pushes us to the point where if we don't like what we see, we lose our interest in finding out if something is really good? Because like if we do that with everything, and I know that I said like today I wanted to be a lighthearted subject, but here we go, like we immediately go down the shithole again, because what if we do this with more things than we realize? Like we judge people and how they look just as much. You know, I mean, keep it on the fiction side. We judged Frankenstein monster based on what he looked like, but he was this a very sweet and compassionate, loving creature.
No, he's got abs. They made him sexy. They made him sexy as shit with abs.
Yeah. He was very Vessel from Sleep Tokenish, yeah.
Well, what he was is like he looked like the progenitors from the space jockey progenitors in Prometheus, the Alien franchise, but with some scars, you know, like that's like light blue lavender parts of skin and like, you know, and some scars, but like again, he's lean, he's tall, he's lanky, he's got like 92 abs. His abs have abs.
Yeah,
and it's like, all right, you know, it's like, all right, you know, it wasn't like Frankenstein from like what was that great show that had a really bad ending? Penny Dreadful.
Yes.
Now that Frankenstein, amazingly well acted. Not a looker. Not a looker.
No, not at all. But yeah, I mean, just his acting carried that entire character. That was insane. Yeah, this dude was fantastic.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think the actor, Rory something. He's an amazing actor. But like,
Rory Kinnear.
Yes, thank you so much, Rory Kinnear. He acted the shit out of that role and did an amazing job of being both sympathetic and you also don't like him.
Angry.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, you introduce him like he kills another potential like one of Victor's creations. Like just rips him in half.
He rips him in half.
And that's his introduction. You know. But then you go on to find he's like. He yearns for life, and then even when he gets his bride, the bride does what the bride has always done. And here's the thing, side tangent. Everybody who wants to recreate the bride for the sake of feminism, listen, it's always been that way. You're not doing it. The bride has always rejected their creation for the view of a man. Like that's from moment one. It has always been that way in every incarnation. You're not doing anything new. Okay, just letting you know that has what the bride has always stood for. So just full stop.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. No, man, Penny Dreadful, that hits all the emotions with me. I devoured that show.
Yes. Because here's the thing, like Ava Green was phenomenal, like that, and that's another one that is a perfect way where the visuals and the story, for at least for the first two seasons, were a perfect blend of like the art, the production value, like the artistic value met with the writing and created this tapestry, this tableau of like dark, chunky. You could chew on the scenery, you could chew on the dialogue, you sat in that world. And unfortunately, by the time season 3 came around, you know, they rushed everything. Like Vanessa took a back seat. The whole Dracula thing was extremely rushed, and like this whole ending was like, I feel like, well, we're not getting a 4th season, so we just got to kind of wrap it up. Like, and they took 3 seasons worth of material and put it in 8 episodes, and like it hurt me.
But then I was so pissed when there was this second series, like Angels in.
Oh yeah, the City of Angels, Penny Dreadful.
Cities of Angels.
I never even watched it.
Yeah, but that was supposed to be like Penny Dreadful, sort of the rerun, sort of. And I was like, well, if you do that, you might as well, have made a 4th season. Because I did not. I think I watched 1 episode of that City of Angels, and I was like, no.
Well, that's how I also felt. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the show, Carnival Row. I think it was based off a book. And it was, again, oh my God, it's so. Again, it's this amazing production, amazing art, amazing world they create, and really solid writing in the first season. And then when they're not going to get a renewal past season 2, they have to like cram all their story into like season 2, and it hurt through it because they rush everything, the side characters that you don't care about. And it just hurt. I felt it hurt the product overall, and that breaks because again, that's where something's beautiful.
Here's the funny thing. I think there are also plenty of books where this happens, not necessarily because they know there will not be a second book or anything, but I mean, I'll stick to an example of my own. You know, Bonds of Blood and Silver is I wrote the book. I love it. It'll always be my little baby. But I think in some places it was rushed a lot because traditional publishing, you have to you're a.
To be fair, I mean, to be fair on that one, you can't. I mean, ultimately, your hand held the pen, sure, but you were also pushed by a variety of different forces telling you to take your big chunky book and cut it down.
Yeah,
to
that's
make
just
it
what
more
I was saying.
commercial.
Like, because I was trying to get it traditionally published, everybody was like, well, you got to cut at least 20,000 words. And I did that, and, you know, I think I ended up with a very clean book, you know, where the pacing was just, it was pretty constant. You know, you would go from one thing into the next, and you would be living with the characters in these split-second decisions. So there was no time to contemplate and to have this meeting with all the elders. You know, exactly. You would go from moment to moment, and you would live in the action of the thing. So again, I like how it came out in the end, but I think there are some places where things are at least a little rushed. So I don't know. It's something that, you know, happens both in video or in books or just storytelling altogether. Like, how do we make those decisions based on what, and when do we feel like, you know, things are enough? Because Penny Dreadful season 1 and 2 were fantastic, like phenomenal in everything. And then there's this last season, and somebody pushed it out and said, well, this is amazing, you know, this is the end, and it's like a killer finale. But
yeah,
then it wasn't.
It killed me. It killed me that this was the finale. It hurt my heart to see that this was the finale, to see like these characters that I've grown to love basically essentially become like shadows of their former selves, and they had no real, you know, there are sometimes you can tell when a writing team is trying to, like, they're trying to build, they're trying to build out. And like, I will say this again, I am just a guy who writes indie books. I've got moderate successes in different locations. I am not a Hollywood writer. Nor would I even choose to be if I had the opportunity. I'd love to pen something one day and work with something, have a product out there, but I'm not my goal is to not write for Hollywood or television. Like someone like, you know, George Martin loves television. He grew up writing for television, and that was where he cut his teeth. That's where he always wanted to be. Long before A Song of Ice and Fire, he would love television writing. So, and I'm not. I like to consume TV, and I would like to give some pitches. But what I'm getting at is things like Penny Dreadful, where they have to rush the thing towards the end, or what was the show Arcane season 2. I felt, again, they rushed the stuff towards the very end. They took like several seasons worth of material and crammed it all together, and it breaks my heart when that happens, because, you know, you become invested, but you also start spinning out certain characters. You start like, what if we world build, and then you realize, oh no, we don't have time to world build. We have to pull it all together. And that really, really hurts. Like, that's how I feel like about the John Wick movies. I didn't enjoy the fourth John Wick because just tell the goddamn story. Like, stop telling me about the world of assassins. I don't care anymore. Like, everything's an assassin. I get it. Every cab driver in New York City is an assassin. Fantastic. Now tell the fucking story.
I mean, for John Wick 4, what bothered me the most was the scene where he was having to crawl up the stairs, and it literally took him 25 minutes to go up the stairs, fall down the stairs, be halfway the stairs again, and then roll down. I was like, man, get up there already, please. And don't get me wrong, I like the John Wick's movie. I like those movies, and I think, and this is just me like reflecting while I'm speaking, so what I realized just now is that I think I turn into a person who is more easily carried by visuals, you know, than by story, whereas way back when, apparently, you know, like in the Sci-Fi Channel era, I was more easily charmed by the story. So I think in a way, like when I grew up or I got a little bit older, right now, like the visuals of something can carry it for me. Obviously, because Frankenstein, you know, it's visually more appealing than it is story-wise. So I don't know, man. How did that happen?
Well, no, the yes and no. Okay, here's the thing. No, we just come from different. I understand your love of Frankenstein, because any one of us who grew up a misfit.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry. Is this a surprise to anybody listening? Like like I said us, by the way, us plural. Like any of us that grew up a misfit is going to we're going to connect with those type of stories, kind of thing, you know. And I get that. I am always the person that when I'm watching something or movie or book or show or whatever, sometimes you get this vibe of like, is the creator trying to tell a timeless story or a story for now? And when it's a story for now, whatever that now happens to be, whatever your politics happen to be, it's always, it might feel good, it might feel satisfying, but it's going to be dated immediately because it's not going to last. And I'm always looking for stories that will have a more timeless feel. If you want to write about the now, you then do it allegorically. Like, you know, if you want to write about racism, then do it between elves and dwarves and how their relations happens. And you can still fight racism, but through allegory, so it'll stand the test of time, as opposed to just being very on the nose about it.
This is exactly where the Sanctuary comes in, because because that show is timeless as fuck.
Right. So it's
And it's really sad that you haven't seen it, so we can't really dive into that.
and the irony is like I've come around, like visuals don't matter as much to me anymore. Like when I was a kid, when I was younger, man, they did 100%. I was very like, I don't know, like shallow. I was shallow. I was a younger man. I was shallow as a younger. Like when you're dating, you know, it's the same thing. You're like, oh, like that'd be pretty first, you know. Like then you realize like my looks ain't everything. So why do looks matter as much? Just as long as like I'm happy. And do you find value in the thing that you're consuming, like whether that's art or books or movies or even a person? Do you find value in that? And that's what matters. And fuck what everybody else thinks. But so when I'm watching shit, like I'm looking for the story. Like I'm story first, and then visuals. Are they just enough to keep me watching or reading? Like is the cover of the book good enough? Does it get me to at least pick it up? That's all. I'm not saying it's gonna blow me away. I just get me to pick up the book.
But it's interesting to, I don't know, to sort of pick apart how this works, because I don't think, like, I'm not very consistent in this. You know, for example, I watched Craven, or I tried to watch Craven.
Oh God, no.
No, well, this is the whole point. I was like, well, you know, I'm here for the plot being
his abs,
his
yeah.
Exactly, like all 26 blocks of them.
92 abs, yeah, right.
But, yeah, exactly. Like, and I was like, okay, well, if the story sucks, then at least, you know, I've got some eye candy, so I'm okay with that. I'm a woman. I'm a grown-up woman. I'm allowed to say this. I turned that movie off because it was not visually attractive. It was not, story-wise, it was not attractive at all. That movie was hot garbage, and I rarely turn off a movie, and I think Craven was the first one in many years that I just said, I am not going to finish this. So, as much as I said just now, like, I feel like I've turned into a person that has switched to the visual side, you know, of liking things. I don't think I'm that consistent in it.
Well, no, I think you are. It's not in a binary type of world where good, bad, black, white, you know, red, blue. I think it's more like, here's my bandwidth. It has to at least, story-wise or visual-wise or whatever, it has to at least be within this range of my tolerance level. You know, and everyone's got their own respective tolerance level. So some people want perfection in their art or perfection in their story, and that's fine. There's people who think the type of books that I write or you write is beneath them. They read literature. They really like classic literature, or they read modern literature, fiction, genre fiction that is like has.
Or even like they won't read indie published books because, you know, it's garbage.
Right, and they look for things literary merit. You know, and I when I try to go back and read some classic books, I'm like, well, you know, I have my opinions on Blood Meridian, you know, and they're not good ones. But people tear me apart for saying that, you know, because to them that meant something, and Cormac McCarthy's their god, and I get that. I 100% get that. I like some of his other works, but this one's not really my cup of tea. But regardless, it's a world where your personal bandwidth is what matters, and like you're trying to justify your opinions to your friends and family. Sure, go ahead, but like to us, we're just shooting the shit here. Like we disagree on something, Frankenstein, but we're still friends. It's not like it's like you know, it doesn't break us.
So you don't like Frankenstein? I don't think we can be friends anymore.
You do say that to me a lot. Like I don't think we can be, like what you said. You didn't watch Firefly. You didn't watch Babylon 5. I don't think we can be friends anymore. Like
I don't understand how we can be friends. You haven't watched any of these things.
I don't. Sorry.
Like, no, dude, it was a joke.
Well, no. But here's like, you're not the first. It's like when someone I missed out like. Later in life, when I was in my early mid 20s, someone's like showing me stuff I should have seen in my teens or early 20s, and they're like, "What do you mean you never saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show?" I'm like, never saw it. So when I sat down to watch with some friends, and they're all like singing along and dancing in the room, like, this is so stupid. Like, and again, like I'm the pariah, I'm the wrong one. I know everyone thinks like, "Oh my God, how can you hate this?" I'm like, because I didn't grow up with it. You know, it's I'm not saying you had to have grown up with it, but like it's not speaking to me the way it's speaking to you, and that's cool. You know,
I want to go back to the like judge a book by its cover for a moment, because you just rebranded your entire Technomancer series, and I think you're working on many of your other books as well.
At least three of my series I'm rebranding. Yes.
Yeah. So I think generally the covers that you had were not terrible. Like they were not. Like so, and I need to really be careful like how I say things, because I am just improvising my English as I go, and I don't want to insult anyone, especially not you. But I know now, like, if you look at your skills now, you can do much better than what you did back then. Then that doesn't mean that the covers, back then were bad, but I've seen the new covers. They look really, really good. I'm very, very happy that you did this. But I wonder, sticking to the whole, like, judge a book by its cover, what made you, or what pushed you to do that now? Because these covers have been around for quite a while, and all of a sudden you had this itch to renew them, to make them look better. Why?
Well, I mean, there's a variety of factors. I think any creative person is always trying to push their skill sets, and then they want to show off that skill set. Let's be honest. We're doing our art. Sometimes we paint and draw for ourselves, and sometimes we want people to say, "Good job." So like, look what I can do. And I'm I'm not ashamed to admit that. I am not ashamed to admit that. It's also like sometimes when a series starts getting a little long in the tooth, like my first book came out like in, I think it was March of 2016. I always consider April to be like, because that was the first time I sold a book at a convention as an author on that side of the table. So that's my anniversary date, and as I put my one post on Facebook, and that's the third cover. The first cover was like my publisher paid some local artists, some indie artists to do it, and it was fine. It was weird. It was kind of quirky, but it wasn't what I wanted. Yeah, the pink and like with the demons. It was comic booky and it was fine, but that didn't quite tell the story that I wanted to tell. But it's fine. I was, brand new author and I didn't have any clout to say, no, this is what I want on my cover. Like, well, no, you're going to get what you, we're going to pay for this guy. We're going to get what we get. Okay. And then the second one, I reached out to a creative type who now actually runs Athon Press. He was doing some cover art at the time because he was working on his own stuff. And he did my next couple of covers for me. And they were a lot better. When I became indie published by myself, and I left all my publishing guys behind on this is just me. I did a little bit of enhancements with what skills that I had to try to enhance those covers a little bit. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but I spent the next 4 years like training myself and fortunately meeting you, working. So now by this point, so 2016 or to 2026, 10 years later, I didn't write something that was dated. I wrote something in the neo future, so it's not, you can read it whenever because it's set in like 200 years in the future kind of thing. So I wanted better covers to talk to a newer audience to say, hey, check this out. You might enjoy this. These covers are more dynamic. They are more like what I would have done in the first place. And they speak to a visual style that represents the current language, And, I think that's part of the thing. You're always rebranding, you're trying to like you said, some of those old covers are classics from like, the 60s and 70s, from 80s and from old fantasy. And like, they look kind of cool and retro in their own way, but they're not going to they're not always going to bring in modern eyes. You have to appreciate even Golden Age comic books. You really have to appreciate that art style to read it because it's not what people are used to seeing now. And, I wanted to do the work.
That's fair.
I also wanted, this was me doing it. This was like this, I instead of relying on others, I took your input as necessary in places, but I wanted this to be my creation. It's my words. So let's put my art to it. Cause I love both worlds.
But were all the other covers done by the Athon guy or?
No. So, all right, so the one with anything with the buildings, like the tower
exactly.
building.
Yeah, and then you had the one with the hooks and the.
Yeah, so I went I went in and added the hooks afterwards. I added like on the tower. I went in and added like the magical symbol in the background, little things like to blend the magic and the technology together, and they were fine. They were perfectly serviceable, but they just didn't.
I think they were more for a sort of mature audience, and I think your new covers are for a little bit.
It widens a bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's also. I want something. No offense to all the authors out there, but when I go to a convention and I'm walking by, looking at I look at everybody's book covers and things like that, especially like on the indie table.
You see 500 of the same.
Well, it's everything's so dark. It's so dark and it's so bleak, and it's. I did the same thing. So when I make these these lighter, whiter grays with bolder colors popping through, they stand out from a distance, and that's kind of by design.
I think, and this might also be a difference between America and Europe. I think generally covers here are not necessarily very dark or, very monotonous, but I think there are too many covers that are the same or that are, similar. They're either, in the abstract thing with it's some flowers and a little ribbon and then title. Or they are dragon, sword, egg, thing, hands. Like there's like you super saturated in terms of assets or what we're seeing. And then there's the title and there's more text and there's like they're super overcrowded. Or there's just the like industrial abstract. It's just a color and a title and good luck with it. I think those are like the three types we have here in Europe.
And it builds right into what we're saying, because there was a period of time where it's like, if I looked at any urban fantasy cover and if it was like, so I could always tell there were two urban fantasy covers. Girl with leather jacket and ass pants, may or may not be exposing her midriff, holding a glowing sickle and or magic in one hand, or guy, exact same thing, but with a trench coat and holding a flaming sword, dagger, or magic in his other hand in a dark blue, dark purple, dark black, background nightscape. And it was like, that was every urban fantasy book for like 10 years. And it drove me crazy, because it's like, but the problem is like, if you did anything other than that, people would know it's urban fantasy. But if they all looked alike, and it drove, like, I, as a consumer, like as an artistic type, I could not stand it. Now, again, that might mean nothing to a person who doesn't have that background. It's like, hey, that's exactly what I want. It does the job. I'm cool.
Well, and that's something that I've really discovered over the last couple of months, because a couple of my friends who are also artists and authors, we all design our own book covers. And so first of all, there's Robin Roosendaal, who made all the covers for her like 10-part book series. I think she is working on part 4 or 5 now, or whatever. And they are amazing, and you can tell that these covers are made by an artist. And it's the same for Pam Hage, who also wrote a book which won a contest in the first place, and then she made the art, and it looks amazing. And there's just this difference between this was made by an artist who just wants it to look really good, and who understands the feeling of these books and the story they need to tell, so they know that the story the cover needs to convey. And then there's books who are just made industrially. Like, the difference between there is becoming so obvious. Whereas at the same time, when I'm at a convention, most readers don't give a damn. They just look at, can I read the title? Does it look pretty? Yes, I'll take it. They don't think about, does this title convey, the story of the thing? They are a lot less selective, in picking up books. And I find that very interesting, because I could never do that. Whenever I see a book, the first thing I do is tear apart the cover. And then if I end up not liking it, I will probably not pick up the book.
Yeah, it goes back to I'm kind of the same way, especially the last few years. Like, I'm one of the worst people to watch a movie or TV show with, because I am like tearing apart the story as I'm watching it. I'm trying to get, if something's really good, I drop everything I'm doing and just pay attention. But I also know that that's not how most people operate. So most people don't operate that same capacity when they're looking at a cover. Is it good enough to get it? Listen, do they swipe right or they swipe left? Is it it's a dating app? Do they like it or do they not like it? Does it at least get them interested to ask more questions? And that's all that matters. Does it have them pick the book up, or like, what's this about? Or that title's cute or clever, or that color, I like that style, or what is this? Is it good enough to just pull somebody in? Now, granted, you want a book cover to really pull somebody in, but at the same time, if it's so good, they just stare at the cover, they never actually like want to know what it's about. So it has to do its job. It is branding, it is advertising, and that's where you kind of have to, like, well, in previous discussions, where art for the sake of art or art for the sake of like consumerism. And that's where, book cover, even movie posters. How many times, like, I've recognized certain movie posters, but you buy the movie or you do whatever, but then you're searching for it on Netflix or whatever streaming service, and like they have a different poster because they've rebranded the poster to try to get to modern audience or modern ideas or modern colors or modern whatever. I'm like, that's not the poster that I know. So I'm like, I go right past it because it's not what I recognize. So people, this is just a thing, and how many there's always going to be this, like, a fear of, like, for some people, like, Avatar is like them or dislike them, they are visual spectacle because of what they've done with computer graphics.
And we're talking about the Blue Monkeys.
Yes. And for some people, like, but it's the most generic story in the world, they do not like it. But for some people, that's exactly the story that they want. It is. They tell a very simple story in a very creative visual way. And for some people, so you always have to remember that is not everything that art's subjective. taste is subjective. How everything we all like is subjective. So.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, the industry, and I'm just going to call it that for a second, because it's easier. But the industry, in general, wants everything to be liked by everybody, or at least so it seems. And it feels like because of that, things are losing their identity. Like, what happened to it's okay if you don't like this, or it's okay if you do? It seems like everybody's being sort of forced into, you have to like this. It needs to be for you because we made this for everyone. And it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay, so let's be very frank about it. Like, if you are like me, I'm an indie author. I can write whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want, because I don't need this money to live. I love to write and create and tell stories, but this is not my job that I have to live off of this money. If it was, I would write vastly differently. Because if you are a studio and you're investing $200 million in a project, you're going to do it such a way that you're going to get as wide a net as possible. We're not doing this for niche things. We're not doing this for like just horror. We're not putting $200 million into a horror movie. Horror is a very popular genre, but horror does always very well because we'll give you $20 million or $30 million to make and there you get creative, and you tell a very small, intimate story that's scary and people love it. So they get like the return on investment. Whoever holds the purse strings matters. So the publishing company that's saying, hey, we're going to market your book and publish your book and give you like a good edit and good cover like that, but it better be wide enough so it gets the
in return for your soul. Yeah.
Well, in return, yeah, exactly. Like, we want the people who read this medium, whether that is sci-fi, romantasy, genre fiction, whatever, to want this and love this and tell their friends and want a sequel. And that is the business. That is always going to be the business. And the people that hold the purse strings want return on their investment. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. I don't give my books away for free either. I love everybody. I want them to enjoy my books, but like I do sell them.
No, it's true, but it kind of feels like sometimes we've lost the first priority of storytelling, which is tell a good damn story. And it seems like these days everything is about just make it look good, and then you'll distract people enough, from the fact that the story might not be so good. And I see this happening in books as much as in movies, but also in art. Like, and this might be like unpopular opinion or controversial or whatever, give it a name. But a lot of the art that you see on, platforms like Instagram these days, I actively ask myself, is this art, or is this somebody who is really good at a hobby? Like, what define? But this is like a whole episode on its own. Like, what defines art then? And the same goes to storytelling. Like, what defines good storytelling? And I don't know. It's just interesting to reflect on that for a second, because I think those definitions have sort of watered or blurred.
They have. I mean, but that's the internet. That's technology for you. We're always going to blur those lines. It's, we've talked, when we talk about AI art and things in the past, like I've said before, there was a time like 20, 25 years ago that during the old Yahoo forums type of thing, when people were like saying Photoshop's not real art. People said Photoshop's just not real art. If you're not doing it pen and paper or, past like physical media, if your hand on this texture and doing it yourself, it's not real art. This whole digital world it's fake. And there's some purists who still don't believe the digital world is art, but yet it's the industry standard now, both for artists and for commercial artists. So what is art? That's up to you. Is it good? Is it bad? Again, up to you. It is. It's
subjective. It's very subjective.
It was always subjective, but it's more than just that. Because like, hey, someone taped a banana to a wall and called it art. Is it? You're talking about it. So like, it's.
Yeah. I find this a very interesting subject to explore in another video, because
100%.
Yeah, like I've always said, it's art. If it activates a certain conversation. But here's the thing: even AI crap, sparks conversations. So by that definition, it would make it art, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. So we should definitely dive into this some other episode.
By definition, fire is alive. It consumes, it breathes oxygen, it gives off waste, it replicates.
Yeah.
But it's
exactly.
Yeah, so
good one. Right, we have reached a point where
the video's over. Go home.
Yes, exactly. Go home. This is all we got. Bye. So an interesting question that came to my mind is, do you know of any books or series or movies or whatever that you feel like most people have missed because they looked bad. So what books have I missed because the cover was ass, and what TV show or movie have I missed because it just didn't look appealing, but the story was actually great?
Conversely, what's something that looks great that just doesn't work for you? Like for me, it's most. I'm gonna really get it's most Christopher Nolan movies. Most of them. Like I think they are amazing looking, and I just don't care about most of them. I just don't care.
I have to confess that I have not watched a lot of Nolan movies, like the Dark Knight and all that. Sure, I've watched them. I didn't really.
I only like Batman Begins. I don't even really care for the Dark Knight. I like Heath Ledger. I don't really care about the Dark Knight.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Batman Begins. Sorry, that's the first one, and then the Dark Knight is the second one. I like Batman Begins.
Yeah, I like Batman Begins, but like Dark Knight Returns, no thank you.
Not
Just
my,
no thank
my
you.
cup of tea either. My husband really likes them, but I don't. But yeah. Okay, so the question is, what have we missed based on its looks? Or, vice versa.
Or what's overhyped because of its looks.
Exactly. I like that. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave that like, or hit the like button. And, while you're there, there's also this subscribe button, which is even easier, because then when we post another video, you get a little notification. So go ahead and click it. It will make us very happy. And as always, Gib, I'd like to thank you for joining me in the conversation again.
Anytime, dude.
And I look forward to the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.